Speak up, speak out. Let's talk about it. Welcome to the show where you can show your love, no doubt about it. Where self-love and self-worth are the topics of the day. Right here on the Just Blah Show, where love is the only way. And here are your hosts, Barb and Faye.
This is Barb from Just Blah.
And this is Faye. Good afternoon or good day from wherever you're at. Today we're going to be talking about kindness and niceness. This was prompted through one of the prompts that were posted through Beautiful Mess, a women's connection group on Facebook. We got quite a few reactions to this particular posting. It was on April 30th. We got about 25,000 responses so far. So we thought this would be something really good to just kind of reflect on. And we're going to go ahead and just read you what the posting said. The name of the story is called The Starfish Story. And the original story is by Lauren Easley. And I'm going to just go ahead and read this for you. One day, a man was walking along the beach when he noticed a boy hurriedly picking up and gently throwing things into the ocean. Approaching the boy, he asked, "Young man, what are you doing?" The boy replied, "Throwing starfish back into the ocean. The surf is up and the tide is going out. If I don't throw them back, they'll die." The man laughed to himself and said, "Don't you realize there are miles and miles of beach and hundreds of starfish? You can't make any difference." After listening politely, the boy bent down, picked up another starfish, and threw it into the surf. Then, smiling at the man, he said, "I made a difference to this one." That's a really short story, but it's so impactful, and it just kind of makes you pause when you read it. And I'm going to toss it over to Barb. We had a pretty good conversation about it, and I like the way she explained it. So Barb, go ahead and just kind of give us your thoughts on when you read this, what comes up for you and what your understanding of it is.
So the story is really just about the power of one and how we can impact others, even if we don't realize we're impacting them through our actions, our communication, and just that helping hand. And it's not about how many people we help, but that one that we help. So, and we talk about kindness in here, and kindness is a huge difference than from being nice, because that's coming up a lot on the Beautiful Mess platform, which is a part under the umbrella of Amor de Soie with Just Blah. So it is something that we thought we would talk about a little bit. I shared some information with Faye about the difference between nice and kindness. So I want you to kind of go through that a little bit, and then we can just have a short conversation, and then hopefully we can have people comment on it.
Sure. Well, this is definitely my perspective on it and kind of my understanding. And I know that through different experiences, you may have different definitions surrounding what nice is versus kindness is. But really, my understanding is being nice is really about doing what is socially acceptable, right? It's kind of a social norm. You're taught on how to be nice, like being polite is being nice, right? You're trying not to rock the boat. So sometimes, like somebody makes a off-color joke, and it could be offensive, but out of politeness, you don't call them out. The hard thing would be to act out of kindness, where you would actually maybe question it, right? Because being kind can be uncomfortable. Because you're stepping into being, I guess, authentic, and you're opening yourself up. But really, in the long run, kindness is really internal motivations versus where not being nice is kind of external motivations. And maybe you can explain a little bit, Barb, what I mean by that, just because I know you define it much better than I can shortly.
Sure. And so the article that I read about this in the extensive stuff that I read, it's about why we need to stop being nice and start being kind. And this article was written by Dr. Marissa Sororita, and I hope I said her name right. she goes into the explanation, and I agree fully that when we're being nice, it's kind of in the family of people pleasing, not walking the boat, like you said. It's from an external place of trying to appease whatever's going on or to maybe manipulate and get something. So there's a lot of expectations attached to niceness, whereas kindness is from an internal drive to do acts of service without an expectation of a return. You usually do get them because when we act from the place of unconditional love, we usually can feel that love back to us. I feel like niceness kind of puts up that block for us for receiving love, like feeling it, because we know that we're doing it with an expectation, being nice. It puts that limitation on that connection, even if the other person is totally unaware of that niceness, but your expectations within your own perception kind of creates that disconnect for you. So it's limiting in the sense of service. It's not that you can't be nice and be of service, but when you have the expectations of how it might feel or what you might get from it or how somebody else might feel about you or trying to get something from somebody else, and then when it doesn't work out that way or it unravels, it makes it very difficult for some people to process, and it triggers that whole self-worth, or it can trigger anger toward the other person, or attack. It goes into the foundational 5 behaviors, defensive and protective behaviors, that I often talk about. So it's definitely a huge difference, and understanding that in your mindset will definitely help you understand where you're coming from and why you do what you do. And are you coming from a place of expectations, or are you coming from a place of service without expectations? Of course, there's always the outflow of the connection because it's genuine.
That's a lot of information.
I know it is. It's hard to put it in a nutshell because it is quite deep.
And so I guess really being kindness, I mean, I also, from my understanding, it's really being self-confident and being self-aware and coming from a place of knowing,
Yes.
where there's, but that's the internal motivation. I mean, that's at least how I'm understanding it. And,
Right.
where the niceness, I kind of get it. Being nice is, kind of the tip of the hat, being polite, helping somebody through the door. That's being nice. It can be kind at some point, but I think it's really I think it's the motivation behind the act that defines it. Is that what you're saying? That basically,
well, it's on a subconscious level, meaning that being nice is usually, and how you can recognize it is if somebody has a hard time saying no because they don't, like you said, they don't want to cause an argument or feel disconnected or feel like, they're doing a disservice to somebody else. Somebody who is kind can say no with love and not have that attachment to it. So it's from an internal place of, I care enough for you to say no, because I can't give you 100%. Whereas somebody who might do it from a place of niceness might do it from an expectation, and their emotional well might be empty, but they'll push themselves beyond that. And that's where we see a lot of, people who burn out and make obligations, and they become resentful, and then they become bitter if it's an ongoing pattern. It makes life very difficult to connect with people.
It kind of makes me think of someone being I'm going to say this wrong, a martyr. Somebody, I mean, that would be like niceness on burnout, I guess.
Right. And well, in that family, and like you both and I say that we're recovering people pleasers, so we totally identify with this, because I remember when I understood the difference between nice and kind, and I just kind of had a mini meltdown because I was like, oh my gosh, because I could see it. So once you have that information, then you're aware of that, and then it comes to the consciousness of being able, and then it gave me space for myself. I think the one thing that really helped me was when I say no to someone else, I'm saying yes to myself. So it made it easier for me to go, okay, I can be kind to myself as well and not feel guilty about it. So that particular saying, and I don't know who said it, but that's the one that just kind of hooked me and kind of got me over that hump to really be conscious about my yeses and nos. So I know I was coming from a place of kindness and of a heart-centered service rather than trying to get somebody's validation to like me or whatever the situation it might have been. Of course, I want to make this very clear. This isn't about contracts that we have about work, like at work, you have a contract, you do work, you do the thing. So this is more on the personal side. Of course, there's kindness in work, but some people are making comments, oh, so you don't, and I said, no, you do have expectations when you have a clear understanding of what the expectations are defined between the two parties or whoever's involved. That is still a form of kindness because we're very crystal clear about our communication. And then we give the person the choice to opt in or out to be a part of it and to expect and honor their choices. So that's really an act of kindness, I guess, on a professional level, or say with the marriage or something, because what's good for me may not be good for another. There's open marriages, there's mixed marriages. I mean, there's just, we won't even go into that.
There's a
subject.
gamut, yeah,
But
of
yeah, I mean,
relationships.
so
Yeah.
it's really about between the two people or whoever's involved for them and what they want as a preference and what the expectations are within those type of commitments to each other. So, that's a whole nother subject as well.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll go ahead and just end it there. Again, we will be just kind of commenting on different items that come up. If you have questions, please follow us at Beautiful Mess, a Women's Connection on Facebook. We're also on Instagram. And of course, you can always comment here on the YouTube. And also, please feel free to subscribe and follow us so you can get more information from us. Barb, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Just make each moment count and be conscious and love yourself.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right.